The following broadcast is brought to you by Public House Media.
What's up, everybody? This is Christian Heimel, host of Press Row here on Public House Media. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media. Once you're done with this episode, I hope you'll come check out my show, Press Row, where we talk about the biggest issues in sports with the analysts, experts, and reporters who cover them. No nonsense, hard-hitting interviews on the sports topics you're talking about. A new show comes out every single Thursday. And don't forget to subscribe on iTunes so you never miss an episode of Press Row. Thanks again for checking out the following broadcast on Public House Media.
It's time for the Gregg and Dave Show.
Unjustifiably in a position that I'd rather not be in.
Featuring Greg Watsnyder.
Give me Twinkies or give me death!
And David Bobkey.
I am the cream, yes.
Bravely bringing you the stories of the strange.
Went off on a madcap romp.
It'll be an adventure. We're going on an adventure.
What, you high?
Now sit back and enjoy the show.
That is my least favorite thing to do.
Hello and welcome to the Gregg and Dave Show. I am the Greg.
And I am Dave Show.
Yay, we are on Public House Media, thephmedia.com, and you can also find us wherever good podcasts are found. All those fun places, and iTunes, Stitcher, all those great fun places. So, Dave, we have a good show today.
I sure hope so, Greg.
I hope so too.
We have some interesting stories.
Yes, and the first story is about one of my favorite things, Dave. A bakery.
Bakery is a nice place. Unless, I guess, if you don't like gluten or you're allergic to gluten, then it's like kind of the worst place. But nonetheless, you know what, Greg? I'll just go ahead. I'm going to spoil the story a little bit here by asking you a question. Let's say you were going to get married. Your wife-to-be says, Greg, honey, sweetie pumpkin, where do you want to go on the honeymoon? I'm completely open. I don't care where we go. Is there any chance you would choose a bakery?
There's a strong possibility. Especially if it's a bakery where it might involve a coffee shop, live music setting. Mm-hmm. There is a very strong possibility that I would choose a bakery.
Interesting.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
Now, if your wife wanted to go to Fiji, would you fight her on that, or would you go with it?
I hear they have good water there in Fiji.
Apparently. Well, I always believe in the phrase, happy wife, happy life. As I'm sure many of our fine listeners do, because we have intelligent listeners.
Right.
I hope.
Right.
I presume.
Right.
But, happy wife, happy life. This guy, in this story from sfgate.com, I don't know if he doesn't believe in that credo or if his wife simply said, like, hey, I'm willing to give in on this one. Because there was a story called His Honeymoon Destination, a San Francisco Sourdough Bakery. That's right.
Now, I will say that wouldn't be my first choice, maybe, for a honeymoon. On second thought, I'm rethinking this option. I don't know if a bakery would be my first choice. I don't know what would, though.
Sure, you might stop by at a bakery or something.
Right.
Probably not your target destination. In this guy's case, he says he's addicted to bread. He says, growing up in the United Kingdom, where the staple diet is laced with carbs and gluten, bread really is daily, and I am hooked. He goes on to say that he went from an avid consumer to an obsessive creator thanks to a bread-making course. Nights out with friends have been canceled, weekend trips away postponed, as I became a slave to sourdough. And it does note here in the next paragraph, Fiji was at the top of my bride's romantic getaway list. My mind went immediately to San Francisco. The Bay Area has a long history of making sourdough bread, and it's now home to a plethora of sourdough bakeries. And he particularly wanted to meet the man behind the city's highly acclaimed Tartine Bakery in San Francisco. So again, I don't get it. I mean, I like bakeries, I like bread and all, but this seems a little bit nutty to me.
What I want to know is, this woman definitely, I think, got the short end of the loaf. But anyway, thank you.
There we go.
So what I want to know is, how does this guy win? Like, who does he think he is? How does he win? I want to know, honestly. What's the over-under? When is the state line?
The date line for this story is October 16th.
Do you think they're still married?
You know what? I'm going to say probably still married at this point. I think if she blew up on him, it would be a little while yet.
Yeah.
Either that or she's going to, fall totally in love with bread making too, and they will live happily ever after. Which I certainly hope will be the case, because, let's face it, they need each other.
Oh, yes.
Thank you, Mrs. Bale. Mrs. Bale, our producer.
Yeah, I just don't know how this guy wins. Like, in the end, what kind of, he's got this girl whipped, as they say. This is like the homecoming dance, where I take a friend who's a girl, and the girl ends up talking to someone else who is really interested in something she's interested in, which is bowling. This is a true story, by the way. They were both avid bowlers, and they end up talking to each other the whole night. I can imagine that was exactly this woman's feeling as this guy Chad and talked for hours and hours about gluten and bread and everything bread, and meanwhile she's in the corner eating a grilled cheese and zucchini sandwich. It's like, how fair is this?
Yeah, I don't know, man. But I gotta say, though, during the story, not that I wasn't listening, because I was, because grilled cheese is delicious and gets my attention every time it's brought up, but I did come up with one potential reason why they would go to a bakery instead of Fiji on their honeymoon.
Okay.
You want to hear this?
Let's hear it.
Well, if you go to a bakery instead of going to Fiji, you do save some dough.
Oh, great.
That's the last one, I swear. It's the last one I'm throwing at you. Although I did take a minute and I did look up some things to do in Fiji.
Yeah.
In case you're interested.
Let's hear about some of those.
This is some information from TripAdvisor.com. There's the Sabito Hot Springs and Mud Pool, which sounds interesting. There is Robinson Crusoe Island. Apparently that's an actual thing.
Who's Robinson Crusoe again? Some famous guy, right?
Yeah, something. I don't know. I never read Robinson Crusoe, so I have no idea. Gets eaten by a whale or something. There's the Kula Wild Adventure Park with a nice-looking family here in the little picture. At least 3/4 of the family seems to be enjoying themselves. You know, number one on the top things to do on here is Zip Fiji. So apparently you can go zip lining down there.
I've always wanted to go zip lining.
There you go. Well, go to Fiji.
You know, maybe this guy should have stayed single.
You think so?
Maybe I'm just thinking. There are a lot of great advantages to being single. And I can just see this going the wrong way.
Well, I don't know. I guess if it were my druthers, I'd still get married someday. I'd look forward to seeing my beautiful wife and scooping her up in my arms and then running across a big muddy field trying to win a competition.
That sounds like our next story.
That does sound like a bit of a segue, doesn't it?
It does.
It was either going to be the segue or it was going to be another crappy pun, and I already swore I wasn't doing another pun. So let's move on here from The Mirror, which again, Mirror is a little bit of a dubious source sometimes, but it's also NBCMiami.com had a lovely story on this.
Okay.
The North American Wife Carrying Championship leaves couples stuck in the mud. This is the 18th installment of the annual event, held in the state of Maine.
There must be a lot of mud in Maine.
I reckon so. Have you ever been to Maine?
I've
never been.
I've not been. No.
I've heard it's got the second nicest Portland in the country.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I've never been to Oregon, though, either.
Yeah, me neither. The story here says the North American Wife Carrying Championship has taken place, with winner taking home. This is the most interesting part to me, right here.
Okay.
Within the first sentence, the winner taking home 5 times the weight of his wife in money.
Wow.
I find this particularly interesting, because how often do we hear of ladies that want to, be of a certain weight, and they want to perhaps they say they're a little bit lighter than they are. As who among us doesn't, frankly?
Right.
I mean, shoot, I'm a guy. I do that.
Right.
I mean, you want to actually... You actually want to put on a few pounds in this? I mean, there's the downside, I guess, of if you're getting carried, you don't want to weigh that much, but the lighter you are, the better chance you have of winning. I mean, what would a strategy be for a contest like this? Do you go lighter and try to win, or do you go a little heavier and try to win more?
Or do you not do something like this at all?
Or do you not do something like this at all?
Especially in the original, when this comes from Finland, is that correct? The original intent of this is to children of robbers who used to go into people's homes and kidnap their wives or something like that. Seems a little sketchy to me that that's the origin of this event.
That's what it says here. The main contest had participants from the state of Virginia, Jake and Kirsten Barney. Completed the course in a little bit under a minute, 58.26 seconds, claiming a prize of 12 cases of beer and a check for 5 times Kristen's weight in pounds, which totaled $630. I'm not going to go ahead and do the math. You can do that at home. I will not inquire as to what her weight is because, again, I like my head. I'd like it to not have it ripped off.
Right.
But it says here dozens of couples participated in the event. The victory also earned the couple a trip to Finland, as mentioned, for the World Wife Carrying Championship next year. And apparently there are defending champions here. Taisto Mietianen and Kristina Hapanen, I'm sure I'm butchering those, are the 6-time and reigning champions of the 250-meter obstacle course. 6 times they have won that contest. That's amazing.
Some people renew their wedding vows at a church or something like that. Some people just go to wife carrying championships every year. And that's the way to celebrate their anniversary.
I think they've got to have like a daily workout plan with it. Today I will take you down the trail.
Here, honey, let's possibly get stuck in mud. That sounds like a fun time, right?
Yeah. Today we do the hill, honey. I know it's difficult. It takes a long time, but I'll get us there. We cannot let the Americans beat us. And now that we've lost all of our listeners from Finland, I'd like to say thank you for sticking around to everybody else.
Right.
So, yeah, by the way, Jack McKendrick and Kirsty Jones, congrats to them, winning the 10th UK wife-carrying race in March, which took place in Surrey.
Wow.
Yeah, I think if I ever get married someday, I will pass on this particular event.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to the bakery rather than the mud pit.
I reckon so. If you go to the bakery beforehand, you spend a little money there, maybe you come home with a little extra money. Eat enough bakery, win the contest.
Right, that's true. Yeah. That's true.
Well, I think it's about time to take a break.
I think it might be about time to take a break.
Yes, let's do that. We want to make sure that our listeners don't lose their head during the break.
Right, don't do that.
That was a teaser. Yes, so we'll be right back, and we'll have one more story.
Hello, I must be going.
The Gregg and Dave Show will be right back after this.
We hope you don't lose your head listening to the many great podcasts found on thephmedia.com.
As there are a great many indeed. I was actually just listening to Head Over Heels, learning a little bit about beauty pageants, competing in them and such.
That's great, Dave.
Interesting podcast. I still don't think I'm cut out for pageants, but maybe one day. Maybe one day.
Dave, we should start our own beauty pageant. The Gregg and Dave beauty pageant. Maybe it'll be the non-beauty pageant. Like, everything needs an right? Everything needs an opposite. So we can do, like, the un-beauty pageant.
I was going to say the idea of a Gregg and Dave show beauty pageant was probably the worst idea I've ever heard in my life. But this un-beauty pageant idea, I think I can get on board with.
Let's do it, man.
All right, anybody out there that's listening that has a horn sticking out of their forehead, a third eye, and a hump, please contact us, courtesy of Public House Media.
Yes.
I'm sure we'll get right into that. And now, back to the Gregg and Dave Show.
This was clearly the wrong way to go.
And we're back on the Gregg and Dave Show.
Yes. Oh.
We hope you didn't lose your head.
We're still doing this? Okay.
I'm ready for our final story.
This is very interesting right here. Very interesting story from CBS News. A story here, Russian man volunteers for first human head transplant. It says, while severing someone's head and attaching it to another person's body sounds like something straight out of a science fiction or horror movie, some real-life scientists say they are planning to do just that as early as next year. So, let's ask the obvious question here first of all, Greg. If, for whatever reason, your body were to become incapacitated, and they said, we think we can remove your head and put it on another body, and you can continue to live, do you think you would go through with that?
If I'm incapacitated, would I have a choice?
Well, let's say you could still speak and hear.
Well, if I could still hear, then of course I'm keeping my head.
But you couldn't really move.
I need something. I mean, I'm not trying to be selfish here, but man's got to live.
You don't want to live as a head in a jar?
Right, exactly.
Okay. I'd actually be a little tempted to do the jar thing for a while, but I don't know. It's something I guess I haven't thought that much about, and I'm realizing that now. Like, man, I don't know. Would I go through with that? That'd be weird to have, like, a different body. I'd feel like like one of those movies like Inner Space or something where you just take over the body of somebody else, and it never feels like it's yours.
Yeah.
But
they were going to do this in about a year. Doesn't that mean, aren't they a little bit ahead of the game?
It says here, Italian neuroscientist Dr. Sergio Canavero made headlines last year when he announced his plans to perform the first human head transplant in 2017. Hey, Mrs. Bale, thank you. So he was going to do the first human head transplant in 2017. Since then, he has recruited Chinese surgeon, I'm not going to attempt his name because I know I'll butcher it, to work with him, and now has found a volunteer patient for the procedure, a Russian man named Valery Spiridonov. Hope I got that right. He suffers from Wertning-Hoffmann disease, a rare and often fatal genetic disorder that breaks down muscles and kills nerve cells in the brain and spinal cord that help the body move. He is confined to a wheelchair right now. His limbs are shriveled, and his movements essentially limited to feeding himself, typing, and controlling his wheelchair with a joystick. He told the magazine, removing all the sick parts but the head would do a great job in my case. I couldn't see any other way to treat myself. Many scientists have spoken out against these plans, accusing them of promoting junk science and creating false hopes. One critic went so far as to say the scientists should be charged with murder if the patient dies, which is apparently still a likely outcome. I guess I have to think this would be possible at some point. I don't know if we're at that point yet or not, but considering all of the other things that we can transplant now.
I don't know. The story seems to be a bit hairy.
Yep.
No.
Mrs. Bale? Mrs. Bale's shaking her head. She's not doing that one.
Oh, she's shaking her head. Yeah.
Not going for it?
But imagine all the things that you do with your head.
I like my head. I use it every day.
I do too. Yeah. My parents tell me that use your head for something besides a hat rack, but, hey, it works for that too.
Sure. I was a hat rack for a couple of years.
Admittedly, I don't wear hats, Dave. Do you wear hats?
I'm actually wearing a cap right now.
If this were a video podcast, people could see that.
They could. They would see how dirty it is, too. I gotta throw this in the wash sometime.
Yeah, but seriously, it makes me think, like, if my head could help another person, if any of my limbs could help another person, and I was in a state of peril, what would I do? What would my choice be? Would I be selfish, or would I give it to science for the benefit of science?
Yeah, it's your body, man.
Yep.
It's a tough call. I guess, there's also the ethical, moral questions of, like, well, is it right to use another body that way and that kind of thing? I was just thinking of the opposite way, like, not just if my head were to be removed and put on somebody else, but would I be okay if somebody else used my body with their head? Which, first of all, have fun with that, because I'm telling you, this right knee is going to need work at some point. Secondly, you're going to have to figure out what it is with the lower back and why I keep, I don't want to say I slouch, but I don't sit upright. Put it that way. Cause a little bit of an issue there, but
right.
I guess I'm starting to think that a body is like a used car. It's like you don't know what you're getting exactly. Buy it, you think you got a good deal, and then you find a banana in the tailpipe.
Okay. All of us find bananas in our tailpipes from time to time.
And I'm sure we have many listeners feeling like they've got bananas in their ears listening to our show right now.
Right. Before you go bananas, we want to thank you for listening to this episode of the Gregg and Dave Show. We hope that you use your heads for a lot of things today, even if it means never listening to us again. But we hope you do.
Certainly.
On thephmedia.com. Can I just make an assertion here? I think thephmedia.com is the most informative website on the internet, just because of all the great podcasts. See, I almost said it. I'm thinking head, I'm thinking body, and I'm thinking podcasts, but it's podcasts that we produce on this network.
Well, there's many podcasts that encourage you to use your body wisely.
Right,
and take care of your body. Such things like Choose to Rise would be one, Kim Meyer, and motivational mantras. Learn about the physical and mental well-being. And good stuff like that.
Dave, I'm thinking it's about time for me to eat something, which is what I'm always thinking. So
yeah, I think I'm about ready for that, too. I'll tell you, Greg, it's been good doing another show with you here.
Yeah.
Doing the Gregg and Dave show. Always a good time. Learn a lot of interesting things about the world.
We'll come out with these once a week or so.
Yeah, roughly. And you'll get to hear that lovely music at the end of the show, which, again, by the way, if you do anything related to podcasting, folks, and you need music, go to incompetech.com. Kevin MacLeod is an awesome dude. He's got a whole bunch of stuff up there. He just says, like, hey, just give me credit where it's due. And, he's got tons of royalty-free music. And I am more than happy to give that dude a shout-out, because our opening theme comes from his site. And he is just, if songs could weigh something, he would have a metric ton of songs on his website.
Wow, a metric ton.
That's how many songs he has. It's crazy.
Yep, I'm still trying to do the math on the weight thing for the wife carrying championship. Don't give me more math to do with the metric ton. Anyway, this has been the Gregg and Dave show. I am the Greg.
And I am Dave Show.
Thanks for listening.
Are we done now?
I think we're done.
We don't have wives to carry. Mrs. Vale, can we carry you? You've been listening to the Gregg and Dave show. The Gregg and Dave show theme is Take a Chance by Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech.com.